大家好，我叫 Elon, and I'm a Near's co-founder. And today I want to talk about creating without limits. Near's mission is to remove all barriers to Web3. And the way we measure this mission is through a 1 billion users in the first 5 years goal. To achieve that, we need to be the easiest blockchain. It needs to be simple, it needs to be secure, it needs to be scalable and sustainable. In past year, we had a 30x growth of our user base. It went from less than 1 million to almost 20 million users, pretty much showcasing the growth of the ecosystem over past year. It's been amazing to see so many new developers coming in and building their projects. Almost 1.5 thousand active developers are currently building. We have over 800 projects across Near, Aurora, Octopus, and kind of sub ecosystems. Almost 10x growth in number of transactions that happened and TVL, and really amazing to see more and more projects getting funded by investors to truly build sustainable ecosystem going forward. Now, the ecosystem itself has grew tremendously. At the core of it, there's the Near protocol. Near protocol is the open source project that powers the nodes as well as defines how the things work. And evolving that, we have a Near digital collective, the decentralized governance structure that is both defining decisions around the protocol as well as the ecosystem. And this is currently in the works, and I'm inviting everyone to participate. At the same time, there's a number of infrastructure players and projects, everything from indexes and oracles, RPCs and analytics, EVM, and different programming languages you can build with, sidechains and private shards. Also important to highlight is not just kind of the basic infrastructure, it's also the application infrastructure like Aurora Plus, which allows to give users free transactions, on and off ramps, ability to create shielded transactions, and remote accounts, which I'll mention in the future. Overall, the ecosystem is not just scaling through infrastructure. There's a lot of different funding and regional nodes that are in the ecosystem. But at the end, it's all about the apps. And it's really amazing to see applications across the board, but specifically we see focus around finance, which is everything from connecting to traditional finance, creating different financial tools, and pushing beyond kind of what's possible with traditional finance. Creative side, NFTs, marketplaces, NFT projects, ability to create marketing instruments and tools, as well as music, audio, video, text, social networks. And in social, it's kind of amazing to see a huge growth across blog, content, images, and more. Overall, this is kind of how we see the three fundamental pillars of applications are the way the growth of the ecosystem is going to continue. Because as more creatives are coming, they're creating more content, they have more places to socialize through social networks, that in turn, more DAOs, more kind of value captured, which then turns into financial tools, and then finances attract more creators. And so kind of that's a positive flywheel that is happening already on the ecosystem. Now, it's all good, but it still feels small, but actually mass adoption is here. The Sweatcoin has launched September 13th, and they have already brought over 13 million users on chain. They have 2 million active, 200,000 users already staked their tokens. This is an amazing feat. This is the mass adoption. They have 120 million installs of their main app. And it's amazing to see how the kind of truly simple experiences that can onboard actual billion people are built already on Near. The reason why it's possible is because Near infrastructure has been from the start designed to be removing the limits that usually people have. Parallelization, running things in parallel, is the only viable scaling solution. There are a few different options how this can be done, and kind of a lot of different other alternative solutions have chose to separate layers, to have different layers responsible for kind of consensus and data availability and for execution. What this ends up leading to is dropping the overall performance, adding latency and general worse UX. The integrated blockchain, which is designed to isolate components, but is integrated from the user and developer perspective, is what outperforms both on performance and latency, as well as on a better UX. That's what Near's design from the start has been. How do we hide the complexity of the blockchain from the user, deliver them the same experience as if the blockchain was singular, and under the hood run things in parallel? Now, this has been a long time coming, and there's still more things to go. Last year, I have showcased we have went from one shard to 4 shards, and without changing any of the user experience, that went really smooth. And now we're launching transition from adding more chunk-only validators, so going from 100 to 300 validators, and then scaling beyond that. And so this is a pretty big release. There's been multiple months of stake wars, of incentivized testnet happening, kind of coalescing the whole community around it. And it allows to both continue decentralizing and lay off the ground for the next step, which is of eliminating need for block producers who are validating all shards, which is going to be coming next year. The dynamic resharding, the end goal that we're aiming at, is this idea that instead of kind of needing to figure out, oh, do I need my own chain, or do I not, my application is not going to justify that, the blockchain itself will figure this out. Right now, actually, Aurora specifically runs on dedicated shard because it does qualify for needing enough capacity. And then the rest applications are split between 3 kind of physical shards. Now, this process of kind of assigning to shards right now is done through a governance process. And so that requires kind of manual work by the community. What dynamic resharding will bring is this idea of dynamically assessing which applications need which capacity and expanding or contracting the network, the physical number of shards on the network. It's pretty unique. This is what truly will enable kind of go without limits across the ecosystem. Now, that's a base infrastructure, but on top of it, Near was designed to be something that's built without limits. It's a flexible account model. If you're not familiar with Near's account model, check it out. It allows everything from having multiple devices connected with different keys to the same account, giving dedicated permissions to specific applications to do things on your behalf, ability to have a delayed recovery keys, ability to give a single-use private key, and more. Now, that enables a progressive security, is ability to kind of start with maybe less secure setup, and then over time, rotate keys, change them, add new security, do 2FA, maybe have multi-sig in the same account. Don't need to move your assets, don't need to change anything. Of course, it's been a lot about developer tooling, enabling kind of a whole host of tools to do that. Solidity, JavaScript, Rust. We've been focused on how do we enable the common languages that people want to build on, and specifically JavaScript on the ecosystem. We can customize the onboarding, the kind of a lot of new ways of how the onboarding can be done in such a way that user has the least barriers to entry. And one of the things that's been kind of under the radar, but you actually can package your front end directly into smart contract, making application fully served from the chain without having to have a centralized servers, which is pretty important both for security and for decentralization. Now, there's a number of things that are coming in the future. Meta transactions is one of the things that is in progress already, enabling to really easily pay for other people's transactions, this be an application or things like Aurora Plus, ability to directly buy assets while you're transacting, right? Normally, people are not used to when you're buying something on a marketplace, to pay first to top up your account and then buy on the marketplace. Why don't we enable directly when you're buying an NFT or something on any other marketplace? If you don't have enough assets, it will pop up you to on-ramp into the system. Remote accounts is the idea that we can bring your accounts from other chains on Near very smoothly. You will not need to set up a Near wallet to start using your applications, and then very naturally will transition to Near as you actually have a lot more capabilities there, and it will actually save you a lot of fees. For developers, so there's already launching kind of a first version with Pagoda, but a lot more will be how do you take on existing applications, just fork and launch it, and then iterate on it. Especially when you package front end and smart contract together, this creates a insane amount of flexibility for developers to play with. Advanced security. Users are afraid of seed phrases. Developers are afraid of launching their smart contracts. Creating secure sandboxes, limiting how much money can be stolen if something is going wrong. Creating an insurance and monitoring network that is enabling both users and developers to feel safer. And UX templates. It's really cumbersome right now because every app has its own set of UX primitives. Why don't we have a set of templates that everybody can use, that are familiar to users, that are enabling users to do common things across all applications? So here's an example of using actually a single use private key that is loaded up with NFT and allows you to create an account, a named account, and then claim an NFT. This is pretty much the idea that you can program a single-use private key for any set of operations and then share it with a friend through instant messenger, email, or any other means of communication, and allow them to kind of execute set of actions on their behalf. This is a pretty unique functionality that doesn't exist anywhere, and it's one of the best ways to onboard new users. So I mentioned there's a lot of tooling. Just to mention a few, there's RPC providers like Pagoda and Fura, there's CLIs and wallet selectors. There's a lot of data frameworks that allow you to actually read data at scale. Pagoda is providing a number of analytics triggers and lots more tooling. And there's a lot of certification and education available across New University and Academy. Now, specifically to start by on JavaScript. So JavaScript is the programming language that has 20 million developers globally. And this is the first time you can actually build pretty much unrestricted JavaScript code and launch it on chain. This is enabled by running a JavaScript VM directly on chain, which is very unique and impossible to do on any other blockchain. So here's an example of you just getting started with Near and set up your JavaScript project. And it's pretty much just a smart contract in JavaScript. And you can just say yarn deploy, it gets it on testnet. And you can say yarn start to get the front end running. So this is 15 seconds and you have a full app running on blockchain and with a front end that you can interact with. Now, obviously beyond this, there's interoperability. I mentioned EVM, I mentioned sidechains. Aurora is providing the EVM, Octopus is providing sidechain functionality, and Rainbow at the center with a lot of other bridges now, connecting the ecosystem with everything else. Beyond that, AstroDAO is allowing to create flexible organizations. Obviously, DAOs have some conception, but actually you can set up anything you want from a regular company to a fully kind of on-chain organization or a group or number of different configurations. This is truly to enable new ways of collaborating and creating projects across the ecosystem. Switching gears, it's not about tooling per se, it's also about the ecosystem development. And Near has been focused on funding the ecosystem across the board. Last year, we have committed $800 million to invest across the ecosystem development, which is split into 4 major buckets. It's foundation grants, it's startup grants, it's DeFi through proximity, and regional hubs. Just to mention ecosystem funds, this has been a kind of proliferation of different vertical funds, which are focused on different aspects of the kind of developer ecosystem, and specifically it's DeFi, gaming, creator economy, now setting up sustainability, as well as more general funds like MetaWeb, which is investing across the board. And one thing to announce is we are doubling down on sports and entertainment fund, which will be a 100 million fund run by Nelson Pillai, who is coming from the sports and entertainment industry, really bring together this kind of amazing talent that exists in that space on chain. In parallel, we've been truly trying to be evolving across the whole globe. To be global, we need to be local, and we've kind of been setting up hubs which are focused on local markets. Specifically to mention hubs like Ukraine and Balkans and Kenya, which have been active for a while, and India and Vietnam, which has been just announced, which are quickly evolving. The hub is everything across the talent, business development, the grants, as well as VC and product lab, kind of developing new projects and investing in these projects in the ecosystem. This enables to have a local presence of near in all of these locations and truly connect with the local developers and entrepreneurs and the community. Near is about being without limits. It's about building without limits, so you can have choice of programming language you want and environment you want. It's about scaling without limits, without needing to be held back by costs and speed of the blockchain, and truly knowing that your application will scale as the users come. And it's about using without limits, having flexible account model, knowing that it allows you to continue being easily to be secure, simple to create, is really what we're striving for. So create without limits. I urge everyone to come in, to build, to use, to give feedback, to contribute to projects, to have truly the creativity of Web3 realized. Thank you. I'm Ilya, and check out on near.org latest news.